Hey guys, my name is Mandy and I'm back with another episode of Tasty Tuesdays, and today I'm going to be talking about my recipe for homemade nut milk. For those of you that already make your own, you might have to bear with me through the recipe part of it and just have patience because I'm going to chat a little bit about what I like to add to it to really elevate it. So to begin, I'll let you know what my recipe is. The basic recipe for nut milk is 1 cup of nuts or seeds, and that can be just one type of nut or seed, or you can do a mix of them. Like I said, I prefer cashews, but oftentimes I literally just open up my cupboard, see what I've got in there, and then make do with what I have. Pecan milk is also really nice, but it's quite pricey. And on that note, actually, I should say, is making your own nut milk cheaper? No, it's not cheaper, but is it better for you? Yes. The almond milk that you buy in the store has very, very, very few almonds in there. By some measures, if you look at online sources, they say almond milk's only about 2% almonds, and the rest of that is water and thickeners and artificial vitamins that they add to try to make it look like it's more nutritious than it is. So I really like making my own with whatever, nuts and seeds I have in my cupboard. And yeah, I'll let you know what else I like to put in there. So I start off with my 1 cup of nuts or seeds, and with that 1 cup of nuts, you add some water to it and let it soak overnight. If you're using almonds, these guys, you're gonna wanna let them soak a little bit longer, like closer to 12 hours, because they're so tough. And once they've soaked, give them a rinse. And with the almonds, you want to, if you can, get the skins off, because it'll make a little bit nicer of a milk if you don't have the skin on. So let them soak. In the morning time, drain the water off, give them a rinse, and put them aside. And then in your blender, if you like your nut milk a little tiny bit sweet, which I do, because dairy, if we're being honest, has a little bit of a sweetness to it, I add a couple dates. So I like to add this into my blender first, before I put the nuts in, and then to that I'll add a little bit of hot water, because the hot water just helps the dates to soften, although I suppose you could probably just toss them in with your nuts overnight and that'll help soften them up as well. Just make sure if you're using the jujube dates that you take the pit out before you put it in your blender. So I start off with 2 or 3 of these per liter of water. Put them in my blender. I'll add just maybe like a cup of hot water, and then I'll blend it on high until the dates really start to break down. And then once they've started to break down, I'll add my 1 cup of soaked nuts or seeds, and then the rest of the liquid, so about 3 cups. If you want it on the creamier side, you might just want to use 3 cups of liquid total instead of 4. And then I'll add a pinch of really good quality sea salt. New Earth Organics has a really nice crystal sea salt that's really mineral rich. And yeah, that's got the little bit of sweetness covered, it's got the little bit of saltiness covered. And then you turn your blender on high and let it go for a few minutes. Like, you don't really want to see nut particles anymore. It should just start to look emulsified. And once you're there, give it a little taste, see how it's tasting. And this is where I like to add in my medicinal mushrooms, of course. And the ones that I use, if I just want it to be, excuse my reach, if I just want it to be sort of as close to regular nut milk as possible, I'll use the most neutral tasting mushrooms, which I talked about before when I talked about cooking with grains. Lion's mane is good to get in you every day because it's really good for the brain, helps to keep your memory intact, helps to prevent Alzheimer's and dementia. So this is one I think all of us could use on a day-to-day basis, because we're also under a lot of stress and our minds are overworked a lot these days. So it's a nice protective mushroom. And Poria, I think I've said before, it helps to transform dampness in the body. But what that really means is it helps to clear out mucus from the digestive system, it helps to clear out candida and yeast. So this is helping your whole digestive system, it's helping your body absorb nutrition better, it's helping with depression and lethargy just by moving the fluids around in the body. And it makes all other ingredients that it's put with work together better. So especially if you're using ingredients from different parts of the world, the Poria has a really harmonizing nature to it. And that is all you're going to want to do to the nut milk if you want to keep it fairly neutral tasting. And you're gonna wanna keep it neutral tasting if you're gonna use the nut meal that you have left over once you strain the nut milk for like baking, for example. If you want to make a sweeter tasting nut milk though, my preferred add-ins are Liver Life Mushroom Blend. For those of you who haven't tried this, it has a wonderful chocolatey flavor due to the turkey tail mushroom in here, but it also has reishi, it has mesama, it has poria, and it has shiitake mushroom. So this is a phenomenal blend for the liver this time of the year, and it's one of the easiest to use because the flavor is just so beautiful. And this is my other favorite for sweet tasting mushrooms. This one, in my opinion, has a salted caramel flavor to it, and we often will demo the two of these together in almond milk here at the store because they taste so good together. So if you wanted to make a more sweet tasting nut milk, then I'd really suggest these two. And in terms of amounts, I would do about 2 or 3 teaspoons total of your medicinal mushrooms into the liter of nut milk. You can taste it though. If you want to add more, you can add more. If you want to add less, you can add less. And yeah, once you've got that all blended up really, really well, you can strain it through cheesecloth or through a nut milk bag. Nut milk bags make things a lot less messy, I'll tell you that right off the bat, and you're good to go. I will keep that leftover almond meal, or that nut meal, and I'll put it in my fridge to use it for energy bites. And I'm actually doing my next workshop on homemade gummy bears and energy bites, so I will be telling people how they can turn that nut meal into a really healthy snack. So that's actually another benefit of making it yourself, is you have this byproduct that you can use to make other really tasty things. You can also take that nut meal, put it on a baking sheet, dry it out in a low oven until it's dry, and then you can either make flour with it or you can add it as is to your baking to get extra fiber, to get extra nutrition. So you're really making use of every part of the nut. I hope you guys liked my video. If you have any questions, please shoot me a message or put something in the comments. And yeah, if you make it yourself, please let me know how it worked out. Before I let you go, I should mention on top of the mushrooms, for flavor, don't forget about things like cinnamon, vanilla, and cardamom, because a little tiny bit of that just makes the stuff even more tasty. So yeah, please give it a try and let me know how it works out. I'd be happy to hear from you. Take care.